right, so welcome to the podcast. Thank you for listening and watching. Hi. On any platform that you actually are doing. Obviously, those of you on YouTube who are watching, thank you for being here. We got Josh on the podcast today. We got TJ.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here, guys. Really appreciate it.
I'm trying.
We're going to go right into what sometimes we've done this in the past, and we try to do this every time. Lately, it's been later in the podcast, but answer some of your guys' questions that you have on the Facebook posts. Which, first and foremost, thank you so much for posting and allowing us to have some content to actually interact with you about, because it's always a good time. Yeah. We always enjoy that. So let's get straight into it. Josh, you want to take the first one?
Yeah, I can't read very well, but I'll try. Dwight Suter says, my students are doing an FT STEM program. That's awesome. As you know, the Ohio weather isn't all that favorable. Is there any chance of designing a very small and slow flying RC planes that could be flown in a typical school's gymnasium?
Boom.
Kaboom skis. Okay.
Dang.
There's a really good solution to that. I've actually flown the FT Scout in gymnasiums, and it flew quite well and stuff. Flying on a 2-cell, build it light, you're good. Also, it sounds goofy. Have your students make it a STEM project, make it a problem for them. Have them take the FT Flyer and an A motor and see how big they can make the FT Flyer get before the A motor won't fly it. But what they're going to find is it's darn near going to be full size.
That's awesome.
And so what I would say is those two planes can fly in gymnasiums quite well. Have them play with some different planes, change the scales, change the size, and see what can make it happen.
Nice.
There is on RC Groups a very slow flying biplane that I believe there's free plans for. It looks really, really goofy. Look up super slow biplane.
Okay.
And if you look at that, you can easily study the plans, convert it to our techniques. I bet you it'll be a winner for you.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing is that some of those minis that we already have on our store can be decent opportunities for indoor flight. Yeah. We've done a couple different ones, but in general,
the Scout to me with a 6.3 prop and a 2-cell built light. You can do wing overs, figure eights. The nut ball, you can fly, high alpha. But if you're looking to actually get the flying experience, truthfully in a gymnasium, it's hard to beat the Vapor. So
that's true.
Go bigger, build light, and have some fun with it.
That's awesome. TJ, how do we go next?
Sure. We got from Ryan Kubishin.
I like it.
Sounds close.
Sounds close to me.
Sounds close. Will you ever feature the Flight Test Warehouse guys and gals on podcast? Allison comes to mind since everything I get from you guys is packed by her.
Nice. Cool. They have those little punch things.
We love that. Yeah.
Which is really cool. So, if you don't know what we're talking about there, down at the warehouse, where everything gets shipped and packaged, there are little stamps with people's faces and their names on it. Some of the faces look exactly like the people, and some of them do not.
Some of them look like terrorists.
Hence mine when I was back there in the day. Yes, it's very true. But yes, that's awesome that you got stuff from Allison. She does a great job down there. Actually, I have no issue with bringing the warehouse people, guys or gals, up here to be on a podcast. I think it's actually a fantastic idea. Loving to integrate both, North and South together and get those get their feedback on how and what they do every single day.
I'm looking forward to the day we're all in the same building anyway.
Right?
We're working on it, brother. Yeah. Now, one of the things that we do with those stamps is we want people to know our Flight Test family, because that person stamping it is someone you blessed with a job. So that's a big thing to us. We want to make sure anytime we bring a new person on after they've gotten through their probation period, they're going to be around, they get issued, like you said, a stamp.
Right.
And that's really, really cool that you took notice of that and that you appreciate the work. Allison's awesome. The whole Flight Test family down there is awesome.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to showcase. Neat thing is we've all had a season in our lives of living in fulfillment and manufacturing.
That's true.
And I think it's made us better.
I agree. It gives you a respect, and it really allows you to understand what they go through on a daily basis versus what we go through on a daily basis, but how you need both to interact and to completely make what Flight Test is and make it happen.
We'll just go down there and literally pull up in a windowless van, throw her in, bring her down, put her in the podcast. It'll be fun,
She won't even know what hit her.
She won't even know. She's like, what are you guys doing? This is creepy.
Allison, if you're listening, I'm sorry for the treatment, but just had to happen.
We'll get Christian on too. Christian and Allison.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we'll pop them up here.
I like that.
We'll get some people on and hang out with them. Next one, we got, I'm going to butcher this one for sure, Ansem Stell, something of that nature.
Yeah.
Stell?
Yeah.
Steel. It says, "Hey FT, you fine folks, riddle me this. I am transitioning from 3-channel bank and yank to 4-channel aileron, elevator, and rudder. I am still only using ailerons and elevator. I can't seem to get the rudder trained to my left thumb. So what maneuvers should I practice? Where is the rudder of advantage? Should I start 3D? And what is it all about?" Well, keep on inspiring people. Thanks for your question, Anselm.
That's such an awesome question.
It really is, because I even when I started here, I had the same issue, and to be honest with you, at times still have that issue because I don't fly planes as nearly as much as I like.
Yeah.
But yes. So what do you think, Josh? Give us some insight into that realm.
Cool. Well, going from the 3-channel bank and yank, he's talking about probably like a flying wing or a faster airplane where it doesn't have to use yaw. What the rudder gives you is yaw control. So if you imagine you're flat as a pancake and you hit the rudder, you're not going to tip a wing. You're going to move your nose to the left and the right and skid around. If you watch a quad, it's very, very easy to kind of see what yaw does on it. What the benefit is to give you something called a coordinated turn. A lot of different planes, if you give aileron, you'll get something called adverse yaw. And that's where the difference of drag going over the lifting aileron is actually going to pull the nose the opposite direction. My apologies. The drag on the dropping aileron will pull it. So your nose will actually jack up into the direction that you don't want to turn. I said it wrong again. It is a lifting aileron. I was right.
You know what?
I'm pretty sure.
Gut instinct, right?
Dude, yeah, I was on a roll. I'm like, wow, I'm really rattling off this information. See, we all stumble. Long story short, if you bank left, your nose is going to kind of pitch up and right. And that's what adverse yaw basically is. Rudder overrides that. So it's called doing a coordinated turn. And the easiest way to learn how to go into 4-channel and fly smooth is imagine both your sticks sticking up. And when you push aileron, imagine there's a defined line between those, a defined distance. Keep that distance equal. So just keep your thumbs parallel to each other as you move back and forth. I used to go as far as to put like a rubber band between the two. So you'd pull on one and then the other one would kind of move for you. Problem is if you get in like a panicky situation, it's not really a training tool. It's kind of weird.
The rubber band goes crazy.
But just imagine there's 3 inches before here. When I move my aileron over, I'm going to move my thumbs parallel to each other, and that's going to give you a nice coordinated turn. Where the 3D aerobatics comes in is, say you turn your plane on the side and you want to do a knife edge. Now you're actually given right input on your right thumb and left input on your left thumb if you're doing a knife edge to the left. So those kind of things are really helpful with rudder. Don't worry about it. Take your time, go up high, have some fun. Sometimes just compartmentalize and saying these two are going to be linked together. Now your brain will start understanding what it's doing. Your eyes will tell your brain, hey, do this again. Life is good.
We need to do an episode on basic aerobatics.
Basic aerobatics? I think.
Yeah.
I
just listening to you talk there is yeah.
Well, I'm still trying to remember which way the aileron causes more drag.
It's hard when you're not there with an airplane sitting in front of you.
It is the rising aileron because you give your input. This goes down, and this it's a dropping aileron. It's a dropping aileron. Yeah, that's it. I had to do it with my arms. You guys can't see that on the radio, but I was just literally.
But it looks great here in person. I'll tell you what, he looks like a seagull.
I've been talking about planes.
Good call.
The cold weather always gives us a season of minis and quads.
Indoors.
And I'm dying to fly.
No, and that makes sense. It's that obviously with, like you said, the weather and all this other stuff. Obviously, what FT has kind of been built upon is were those airplane style of videos, and that's something super you're passionate about, and obviously a lot of people are passionate about.
You're building flight. You're not programming it. You can take this table and put motors on and make it fly fantastic.
Probably.
I'm saying something really provocative to a lot of people. Please forgive me for that. But truth is a control board and the right power will make anything fly good.
Someone might take you up on that offer.
Oh my god! Well, yeah.
Could you imagine having a flying podcast table while we're sitting in chairs flying and making a podcast?
Next
flying
podcast.
Right
Yeah. I told Chad I want to make it fly. And
that's awesome.
He put a lot of time into this, though.
That's beautiful. You know what's special about planes, though, and what I loved at Flight Fest West is people are literally taking the material, they're folding it, they're bending it, and that air is making it lift. You know what I mean? It's going over the wings in a certain way, it's listening to the control inputs, and it's flying. And you're the one that created that.
That's right.
To me, that's assembly versus creation kind of thing. You know what I mean? I want people to understand that it's so rewarding to build something that flies.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Yeah. All right, Josh, next one. I think we got Chris.
Cool. Chris Snipes. Let's see. I would like to build a sea duck, but do not have a transmitter capable of differential thrust. How does a sea duck perform using rudders instead of differential thrust? That's a very good question.
It is.
First of all, don't stress about differential thrust. You can do the rudders. The rudders are fine. You're not going to flat spin. You're not going to have that ability, but it's going to fly like a trainer. So don't worry about differential thrust. It's not a deal breaker with the Sea Duck. You got a really great stable platform. And if you're really worried about, wiring everything together, just put it on one rudder. You're only going to get about 25% more effectiveness if you put it on both, and you're not going to have any bad tendencies. So you could literally just put one servo and control one rudder, leave the other one fixed. You're still going to get your yaw input.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So, I didn't even think about that.
If you're looking for a real simple setup, that way you're not using two servos and wiring it together and doing mixes. Obviously, if you have to do that, you'd be able to do differential thrust. So don't stress, build it, have fun.
Yep, for sure. All right, next one.
We got Kevin J. DeVore. Is there a way to get sponsored by Flight Test? I would love to represent the group at flying events here on the West Coast. Josh, I believe that would be directed to you again.
Boy, you know what's funny? We never we kind of view our community as our sponsored pilots.
Yeah.
You know, what they create, what they do, the way they promote the hobby. You know, I know in quad racing, there's sponsored pilots popping out of everywhere, and you know, that's with racing and everything. One thing we loved to sponsor was like Kevin Teschner. He was building some monster projects, so we sent him free foam board.
Right.
We've done that with Anders Liu. We've done this with other people. I think there's definitely going to be programs in the future where we sponsor. One thing that we started about a year and a half ago is something called FT groups. And instead of sponsoring a specific, let me say this right, instead of sponsoring a specific person,
There you go.
you know, with a very incredible skill set to fly and to do, you know, do flight. What we wanted to do is actually sponsor the activity that flight brings. So there's something called ftgroups.com.
Right.
And that's where people can actually network with other people and connect, build a flying group of their own, fly, get people in the hobby, and build relationships. That's what we want to sponsor. So imagine this. You're an FT group. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You start getting your friends in there. You guys form a group. This isn't like a Facebook chat page. This is actually a way for people to be able to locate you, learn to fly. You can communicate internally, say, hey, let's do a build night at Chad's house. And then the next time, it's let's go fly at the field. And you can communicate through this media. But then you also get to post all your videos. And then people said, wow, I'm 20 minutes from you. Can I join your group? And you're like, yes, you can join my group. Those groups that build up and that really have the spirit of Flight Test, we don't want to just sponsor them. We want to give them free stuff. We don't want to just say, hey, look at this group. We want to send them beta kits. You know, we talked in the past about beta builders. We have 13 people. I would love to see groups. Instead of using the beta builders, which we will always use, I want to send 20 kits to this one group. Have them build it. Have them have a build night, fly night pizza, record it, send us the footage, and guess what? Now they're part of the episode. Yeah. So that's really where my heart is and where I'd like to see sponsorships, because there's amazing people with amazing talents. It doesn't mean they're going to inspire people. This person right now, I'm sure they would. But, you know, they have the heart of Flight Test. But that's kind of where my heart is. I don't want to just focus on one person and their skill set, because you're almost putting a competitive mentality then. I got to stay the best so I stay sponsored. Yeah. No, we want people that are completely committed and dedicated to the idea of, I want to get more people in the hobby. I want to impact people in a positive way. Right. Those are the people we want to sponsor.
For sure. Thanks for your question, Alex. And there's a lot that goes into that kind of thing. And obviously, when we want to make it as fun and interesting and as exciting as possible, and so, you know, that's why we look at the FT group situation. So, all right, next one, Zach. Yes. Sorry, I think that was the one that said Kevin. Not Alex. Kevin, thank you for that question. Alex is the next one. I was confused. Alex Gregorius, would FT consider producing some mods done by the community to existing models?
Well, we did it with the Bloody Baron.
Right. Exactly. Dan Sponholtz has done one or possibly two.
See how quick I caught that.
Might be Dan Sponholtz calling right now. No, just kidding. Yes, Dan Sponholtz has done that for the Bloody Baron. You guys saw that in the episode. That was actually a funny story. That actually was my first episode that I was ever previewed on. And it was and flies fantastic. First of all, if you haven't had a Bloody Baron, you go grab one, because they're awesome. Yeah. And then you kind of modded it out a little bit to the Super Bee, right? Yeah. It was kind of based off the Bloody Baron as well. So yes, we do that every so often. So thanks for your question. That's really cool.
We don't really go back and visit version 2s very often, but what we do too is take people's feedback and apply them to future, designs, future builds. Because if you think about it, everything we do has a build video that goes along with it. So when you do a version 2, you're doing a whole other build video. Now there's confusion. Which build do I go? And we have to kill the one, but what about people building the plans from the one? It makes a mess. We're doing it now with the Mustang and the Spit, but and we've done it with the Baby Blender. But now moving forward, what I'd much rather do is say, hey, this person fixed a problem in a past design. We're going to implement that in a future design.
Right. Nice. That's great. That's awesome. All right, next one, Zach, I believe. Josh, that's up
All
to
right,
you.
Zach. Hi, Zach. Okay, will you guys ever do a fly as hard as you can video, but with planes instead of quads? That's called every episode.
Right?
You know what?
So true.
Chad, I don't know if you can hear me or not, so I'm going to tell you this story. Chad will paint these beautiful airplanes for us. He'll make them look incredible. And then it's almost like this moment when he's handing it to us to go out and do the episode. He's like, have you ever seen the Michelin Tire Man? Where he's like hugging the tire before he sends it on his way? I sense that with Chad because he's handing us this work of art. It's no longer a foam plane, it's flying art. And he's handing it to us, and specifically me. And he's like, bye-bye. See you later. You know, you're going to die soon.
A tear goes down his face. Yeah, one single tear.
And he's a great sport. He is such a great sport about that.
Yes.
So, yeah, we generally like to push things hard. With the weather finally cooperating, hopefully us being based more, we want to push things hard. Yeah. And we got some cool new FT designs coming down the pike. I think we'll be able to, stress test them.
Yeah. Yeah, we fly. We don't always fly as hard as we can with planes, but you never know. You might see some of us just going hard or going home.
We usually fly hard into each other.
Yes,
you know what I mean,
this
with
is true.
the planes.
100%.
You need to go out and knife edge the tree with a plane.
Knife edge through the tree.
Yeah.
I'm sure that would, but yeah.
Yeah. Might have to pick up some wings.
Truth of the matter is I'm not that good.
FPV, that's like
we got Bill Decker. Any progress on sourcing a reliable EDF power pack and new EDF plane? Foam U2.
We've talked about this a little bit.
Yes. So we are working on sourcing out. It's hard to get a good, reliable power plant for an EDF. And, our name's going to travel with this, but also your experience. And EDFs aren't swappable. You put that in, you build it around there, you have a problem. Guess what? You're cutting your bird open. It's not like sliding the power pod out.
Right.
So it's a stress right now. But Ben
Ben Harbor.
an incredible A4. I said it right, A4, right?
A4,
yeah. So we got to fly and
Skyhawk or something like that.
If you search Flight Fest West videos, you'll see it all over the place. You also hear it, which is the best part.
Yeah.
This thing sounds amazing.
Sounds like a real plane.
It does, and Ben was kind enough to share the plans with us. The beta builders are working with it. I'm going to be playing with it. It's more than a Vigan in the fact that it has an airfoil. It has a really well thought out design. We're going to try to make the build experience a little bit easier.
Okay.
But that's really where the launch should be. And on top of that, he's come up with a twin EDF. What was it?
It's not the Tiger, is it? A5 Tiger?
Maybe.
I can't remember. He's got like 4 or 5
that
I've looked at in the last
he's going
2
crazy
days.
with these things, but they're works of art.
Yeah.
And so we are definitely still working on towards that. There will be some EDF jets coming out with a great build experience.
That's awesome.
My guess is that power pack is not going to be the cheapest, but it will be a good, reliable, efficient power pack when it happens.
And that's what I think most people are looking for.
Yeah.
They will, from what I have seen, the community and other people in the hobby will pay a little bit more to make sure that they're not having to cut their bird open.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that it's more reliable. It sounds awesome, and the experience is good. So you're not having to retweak your motors all the time.
And the power pack is something we take really seriously. Like the whole idea with the swappable was that this motor can go from one plane to the other to the other. It doesn't mean everyone has to do that, but for someone that can only afford one radio, one motor, one battery, you know what I mean, and a few servos, it's a great solution to keep them in the air and give them multiple planes. But what that also means is they got to be able to bash that thing. They got to be able to abuse it. They got to put that thing through the ringer, and it needs to live. Because if they can only afford, in the worst case scenario, if they can only possibly get one motor, that motor needs to serve them well. And I'm scared to death, frankly, of EDFs for that reason, because there's so much that can go wrong with them, and there's so many issues. And we are actually in the near future going to be coming out with flight test branded motors, but they're just not going to be a rebrand. They're literally going to be thought out for the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced in mind, for both tractor, pushing, cooling, everything you can throw at it, because the Emax 2215 is still one of my favorite motors. You can do so many bad things to that motor, and it comes back for more. So we are going to revamp it, but these motors need to live for years, not just months. It's not like a quad motor where in 3 months you can upgrade, These should live with you for a while.
Right. All right, next question. Great question, by the way, Bill. Thanks so much. Next question from Samuel Phelps. Best way of transporting large planes? That's a good one. I always end up with some kind of hanger rash or damage. You've probably been hanging out with planes for quite some time. Small ones, medium-sized, large ones, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that as far as transporting stuff? Because I know that we've had to deal with that in the past. And if you don't have a trailer,
you're in a pickle. Yeah, there's a couple different ways. He said large planes, but you can take a simple. Have you ever seen those Coroplast coolers? Have you ever seen those? You can take those, and if you have smaller planes, you can actually cut airfoils into them and put them all nose down where the wing is saddled by that Coroplast.
Nice.
Okay.
And you can oftentimes, especially if you're flying smaller planes, you can stagger the fuselages, and you can get like 4 in a handle, and then you simply put it in your back seat, and it holds them and keeps them from falling all over the place.
That's great.
So that's one technique you can use. For the bigger planes, on Amazon there is this elastic bungee cord you can buy, 25-foot rolls. And I love that stuff. If you have a larger plane, most likely you may have a truck. And what you can do with this, even if you have a tonneau cover, is you can take a board and you can take that stretchy stuff, and you can use that stretchy stuff either to lock down wheels, or if you have your wing separate, you can have a little you tie a knot into it and cut like a little keyhole, stretch it over the wings, and that keeps things from rattling around. And then you literally just pull out the whole entire board right onto the ground, and you station it. If you look at one of our Instagram posts, I kind of did a thing like that for when we transported all those planes to
Flight Fest West.
To Flight Fest West. I use Velcro on that because they're just demo models, but picture something like that where you can strap down your planes, but do it on something you can pick up and move, so that way you're not like climbing over it and trying to reach awkwardly, because then it's like, it's too inconvenient, I'm not going to do it.
That's right.
Hope that helps.
And sometimes you see people with smaller cars, you take the wing off the top, it's not assembled, you put it in as many parts as you can, and then you transport it.
Yep.
Obviously that's a super easy way.
Here's a tip too: if you're carrying some big wings, the first tendency is sometimes to carry it going crosswise for you. Then you walk through the door and you break it in half. Whenever you're carrying a big wing, carry it vertical and carry it parallel to your body. It's going to be the best chance you have at not hitting something, because when you're carrying a wing, even if it's parallel to the ground, you don't know what you're hitting in the back of you and stuff like that. So carry the wing vertical, just like you're walking next to a buddy, and that wing's going to last longer.
Really
Same with
tall
your
buddy.
fuselage. Just pick them up, carry them vertical, and you'll find yourself turning into things less.
That's a great option. I like that. All right, let's go. Let's do one more, Sir TJ.
Alrighty, let's see here. We have Aiden Albers. Is Flight Fest East a place where I can build especially big planes? Most definitely.
Let's think about that just for a second. It's a tough one. 100%.
Yes.
100% yes.
And encouraged.
Yes, encouraged, and also I feel like honestly we should start like buying flight test hard hats. You know what I mean? Like with logos, and just hand them out to people.
That's so true.
At will, because big sketchy projects is I think where Flight Fest East is going to really shine. We had some amazing ones at Flight Fest West and some amazing scares too.
Oh yeah.
But Flight Fest East is basically country, and if you're going to crash, it's probably going to be in a field or a hill. So you're good to go.
So you're good to go.
We're going to do something kind of fun. We love doing content around really big, sketchy builds.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is when someone makes a big, sketchy build and we're filming this, we're going to do a sketchy establishment, walk around, where we're going to go ahead and kind of assess the design, the servos, the linkages, and just kind of do a fun walk around where we can assess the design and say, okay, from what I see, this is a sketch factor of 9 because A, B, and C. Frankly, it's also going to be a great opportunity to keep something from possibly failing before
exploding
it starts.
into a million pieces. Yes.
And we love it when planes destroy themselves, not when they're into people though.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be really cool because we're going to get to share knowledge of what we think when we do these really big projects, how we think, push to pull is always, or pull to positive is always a really good rule of thumb, how we mount our servos. Some things we skip out on, other things we were really careful. And this kind of stuff would be a really good opportunity for us to share how we think and hopefully give some success.
That's awesome.
So
thanks so much for all you guys' questions.
Love it.
Today. I mean, in my opinion, one of the best Q&As we've had so far.
Very
in my
diverse.
Opinion. Yeah, I loved it. It was fantastic. So thanks all for commenting and being a part of that with us.
Keep them coming too.
Yes, please do, because I always enjoy reading them before they come on the podcast, sorting through all these different things. It makes my job very interesting, to say the least. Whether I comment back on the Facebook or we comment here on YouTube. So thanks so much for that. So we're going to transition into something a little bit different than what we normally do on podcasts. Is actually today is going to be a little more new content related. As it were. So kind of the new things that are coming either out on episodes, the store, different things that we're looking at for the future. So actually one of the things is actually new frames. From what I understand, we're working with some other companies, also possibly doing some other special things.
Doing a little bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal is to make the store more friendly for multi-rotors. As far as we have a good selection now, but I'd like to have as much as we can without having junk, pretty
Yeah.
much, you know, because now it's hard to find what you want in one store. You know, even when I was sourcing out stuff just last week, it was between like 4 stores for one quad. So with that said, we started with frames. So Multi-Rotor Mania is one that, you know, we've known for a long time, and they have a huge selection of frames. So we picked out a few that are the better ones that they carry, and they're actually already ordered.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
we're going to have those soon. Armington is another one. We just placed an order with them. Their Chameleon frame is
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a huge hit right
Yeah.
now. It's one of their hottest products for a while, and so that's coming. Other ones we're looking at, you know, Shin Drones. He's huge as well. So we're talking with them. Pretty much, if there's a company you'd like us to, you know, you would like us to carry,
Yeah.
let us know, because obviously the industry is pretty huge, and we do a good job of keeping up with it. But at the same time, it's still kind of, you know, it gets kind of taxing sometimes.
Exactly.
Well, the whole vision with the store was to meet their needs, not
Yeah.
to try to get them to buy something, but to say, man, I really wish I had this.
Right.
Right.
And what we did with the planes a long time ago is we put everything together for convenience, plug and play, compatibility, you know,
Right.
you name it. The quads have never quite got there. And TJ, this is where you really brought a new breath of fresh air, because
Right.
we don't want people to be frustrated. And, you know, although we carry a lot of different products now, we want people to get what they want for the reason they want, but also if they know what experience they want, we want to be able to guide them there. And you have a really good solution on how you want to walk someone through getting a quad and getting what they need for the quad, so they don't miss out or have any frustration points. Why don't you share what that is?
Yeah, so with that, I've kind of held that close to my chest so far, but yeah, we're starting tomorrow with a meeting on just that fact. So the question I wanted to answer was, why would somebody want to come to flight test for multi-rotors? You know, what's the goal? Why? You know, why? So for me, my passion is getting people into the hobby. I love it. You know, holding somebody's hand, walking them through the process, you know, explaining why they want this part over this part, how the parts work together. And there's really not anything out there other than research and just time spent watching videos, reading articles to help somebody learn this. So my goal is to have a website where they can go and, you know, say what type of flying style do you want to do? You know, do you want this freestyle racing? Do you want longer flight times? You know, just how do you want to fly? And then based on that answer, it'll say, you know, well, we recommend a 6-inch build, you know, using this product. Or, you know, they can pick out their own motors, and then based on that motor selection, then it's going to drop down a list of ESCs that they can pick from. And it's just, you know, one answer leads to the next question.
Yeah.
That answer leads to the next question. And when they get done with everything, they're going to have a quad put together that they can either click a button that says, you know, can you build this for me? Or, you know, just order it, have it all shipped to yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to be missing, you know, a power distribution board. You know, it's all going to be there, and it's going to help anybody from the beginner all the way to an advanced expert. You know, you can click another button instead of going through each individual question. You know, my goal is to have like a big drop down list where you can pick each individual part.
Yeah, power
And then-
user kind of like
Yeah,
people
like
know
a
what they
power
want,
user.
but they want
Click, 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 click,
selection.
and add.
Yeah, and I mean, just
Yeah.
from us talking about it, bouncing ideas back and forth, to me, it seems like it should be a really awesome feature for anybody out there.
Yeah.
And so the goal with that also just to have the website, we need product. You know, because I want somebody to, if they want this certain motor, I want to have it.
Right.
I want them to be able to do that. So it's going to take a little time to get implemented,
Yeah.
but I think once it does, it's going to be pretty cool.
No, if it comes off the way I see you visioning it, I think it's going to be as much fun of an experience building your quad as it is flying.
Yeah.
And that's one of the pain points so many people run into. It's like, how do I flash this? How do I do this?
Right.
You know, this ESC is not compatible with Beta Flight or something. And people don't understand when they pick a motor and they pick an ESC. If that ESC is not rated for that motor, guess what? You just invited not only a burnt out ESC, but you've also invited a crash.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? And what's that do to your ego? What's that do to your energy and passion for the hobby? It destroys it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
the planes are a lot easier, in my opinion, to bring someone through, because you can be like, well, what do you like to do? Well, here's a great airframe. Quads, it's all in the electronics and the
Yeah.
gear. And guess what? Wait a month, it's going to change.
Yeah.
That's
Sometimes
true.
wait a week.
Yeah, right. And the industry is really blowing up, and just it's getting smaller. It's getting smaller. It's getting more high tech. Now there are some certain things that are definitely getting easier to use and easier to understand for sure. But there is a technical knowledge there that you definitely want to have a base level before you start getting super deep into things.
Technical knowledge and skill. I mean,
exactly.
soldering skill is a huge part of it. If you have a little bit too much heat on a board, you're going to fry something, and then that board's not going to work right.
Right.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes even luck plays into it. You may go through 100 flight controllers, well, then 101 just for some reason got damaged somewhere along the line, and now you're doing a warranty claim. So it can get disheartening really quick sometimes.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is just take a step back, take a deep breath, and take it one step at a time.
That's right.
And you touched on one thing too, is the build it for you option.
Yeah.
That's something, with Flight Test, we really believe that you should have that journey. You should experience the benefits of building. Quads is kind of like this little asterisk to it, because quads, if you're like me and you have shaky hands, some people just don't have the ability to solder well. Some, if you're a younger kid or a mom wanting to get their child in there, or a school, sometimes those things that you have to do to get a quad in the air cannot exist in your world for a little while, or for a season, or forever.
Right. Yeah.
And what you and Ian are working on doing, and what you're currently doing with this build to spec, I think is just fantastic. Because we're not saying, here's what we fly and you need to fly it. We're saying, what do you want? What kind of experience do you want? And would you like us to build it for you?
Yeah.
And you're getting it built by people that are actually racing in quad count challenges. They know the industry, they know the technology, and they'll tune it to the way you want.
I don't want to give people my passion. I want to help them find theirs.
That's perfect.
That's fantastic.
Sounds great. So if we want to stay on frames for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not everything out there is what we want to fly. Yeah. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So Alex does amazing with aerials. I mean, his aerial footage, I'm a good pilot, but just watching him chase a plane and how he can get up there
like
and
an artist.
Read the serial number on the side of it. I mean, the dude is amazing.
So
but
true.
With that said, I want him to have that experience, but to have the flight time that he can stay in the air with the plane the entire time. And there's really nothing out there it gives me the platform that I need with the flight time and everything. So, the first frame that I'm working on is something that kind of answers all those questions. And we're not going to stop there. So last week we had talked about, trying to introduce maybe one frame a month. And it's not really to bring something different out, because why broke it if it's, or why fix it if it's, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There
That's
we go.
it.
That's what I'm looking for. So, I mean, really it's pieces of carbon fiber put together to achieve a goal. And that's what we want. And everybody here at the shop's kind of had input. We come together, we make some ideas, and then we see what happens. And that just makes another pretty cool avenue. So those will be coming out pretty soon as well.
I'm looking forward to those. That sounds really cool. And I love that you have attacked a problem and using your knowledge to then attack it and to find a solution, which is kind of what Flight Test asks the community to do on the forums, in the hobby, at any point in time in their either FT or hobby experience or their journey. Go and find the information, attack the problem, find a solution, and learn from it. Because like we talk about all the time, if you buy something and it's just a ready to fly thing, sometimes you don't get that full experience. Yeah. Sometimes you need to build it. And sometimes you need to figure out and have some crashes or whatever to put some more hot tape or hot glue and tape on to learn some different things about your airplane, your airfoil, whatever it may be. So I love that you're attacking in that way, and it's really cool to see that the way you've grown here at the Flight Test kind of headquarters, but also what you bring to the table and how you've actually allowed all of us to flourish. It's
been a very short but amazing ride so far.
Well, if anyone wants to know why TJ is part of the Flight Test family, you've heard it just now.
Boom.
His heart, his passion, this has been unwavering from the day we met him. And, he's definitely blessed us in a powerful way. We hope we can get your other half, too, Ian, on the show, too, to talk. He was actually in the previous podcast.
Yes, actually, he's been on with him and Jordan were on.
Yep.
We did a little employee showcase, as it were. So it's been fantastic. He did really well.
The Flight Test family is growing, and this is kind of speaking to one reason why we talk a lot about the store, a lot of talk about different initiatives and STEM. We love seeing the family grow, and also we love seeing people from the community that were passionate in the community, and we love employing them. So my goal personally leading the company is to see this company grow without changing our values, our mission, and our vision, but also to grow it in a way that people from the community can also get the opportunity to work within a company that they've helped support. So I see this dream coming true now, and it honestly makes me emotional because we're up to 21 employees full-time.
That's awesome.
So
that's
you guys
amazing.
have blessed 21 people with jobs, and that's through the store, that's through sponsorships, and we can't thank you enough because, that's 21 families, not 21 individuals.
Yeah, that's so true.
That you've given work to, and hopefully we can hire many more people from the community as time goes on. And those new initiatives will be announced when it happens. But there's dreams we talked about for years now, I feel like are just around the corner.
True.
Before we go off of frames, there's something I'm really obsessed with, and that's the gremlins.
Yeah.
And I'm happy today we're supposed to get our next batch of gremlins out.
Ooh,
so
nice.
they should be in today, early tomorrow, and also we're going to be introducing some new frames. Andres Liu, if you guys remember Andres, he is the awesome gentleman that built that monster P-38. He's also one of the most amazing pilots, both fixed wing and multi-rotor I've ever seen. We challenged him to design a frame, and in 2 days he came back with this incredibly well thought out, beautifully artistic, and well flying frame. We're even going to have it made in carbon fiber soon, but that frame will be released next along with this next batch coming out.
Nice.
So if you're waiting for a gremlin, there's going to be even more variety, and as more community members design great frames, we're going to pick those and reward them and put them in our store, and also give the free downloadable plans.
That's fantastic. So keep them coming, guys.
Yeah.
I see it every day actually on the forums. I see different people putting up new 3D printed frames and attacking different problems and all this stuff.
So cool.
It's fantastic.
Awesome.
They're using 1104 motors, using different motors. I mean, it's crazy. There's like 300 and some odd posts right
That's
now.
awesome.
It's like
so cool.
100 bunches of pages. I love watching it. It's awesome. Thanks so much, guys. You guys do such a great job. So next on the list actually is this little guy right behind me. If you can't see because you're not watching on the YouTube, we have the Strix Strata Surfer.
Yes.
And we actually got to go out yesterday and go down to Malvern and fly these. They're not so little, but these little guys, they're pretty cool.
1.5 meters.
Right. They're fairly large.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is it reminds me of essentially the Bixler.
Yeah.
Which is obviously near and dear to your heart.
It should, yeah.
Yeah. So
My
it's really
first fixed
cool.
wing
Yeah.
was a Bixler.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So, I mean, from what I could see from afar while we were down there, it looks like they fly fantastic.
Oh, that was incredible. Yeah, we got the Strix in to evaluate, and it's like first of all, major kudos to Ready Made RC, because if you read the first paragraph of their description, they own it, man. They acknowledge the fact that the Sky Surfer was kind of like the Sky Surfer and frankly the Easy Star. They were the two planes that came into the industry years and years and years ago that everyone just immediately jumped in the hobby, got in the hobby, had a great experience, but also started modifying like crazy and sharing their knowledge. And from that, great planes like the Bixler 1.1, the 2, the 3, and other renditions of the Sky Surfer have come out. And they gave immediate praise right off the bat to the Sky Surfer and acknowledged that, but also showed all the different modifications that people want to do. They already did it for you.
Right.
And their fuselage, I was a little hesitant. Like, one reason we wanted to evaluate this was like, that's a plastic fuselage.
Yeah, right.
Although, like, you're thinking, wow, that won't split in half when you nose it in real hard, like most of the planes do. Most of them are two foam halves and they're glued in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
So after a couple landings, it looks like it has like lips, it has this really awkward thing, and then eventually you smash it so many times, you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it off and put a GoPro or a session in there.
Yeah, right.
Because there's nothing left.
Right.
This thing's plastic, but the cool thing is with that open cavity, they have room for anywhere from a 3,000 to an 8,000 milliamp battery. They have hardwood mounts in there that are also sealed down with foam in between, so you can hard mount your electronics. It has a raised platform for a control board right over the CG, but also as you go back towards the tail, since it's all hollowed out, you have a little porthole with 2 screws that you can put your VTX back there, or you can put a GPS. Wow. This thing is made to get people in the hobby, but also you don't have to just cut it apart and hack it apart. You literally just, grow with it.
It's been thought out.
It's been so well thought out. The wing cord's about 20 millimeters thicker, and it sounds like a goofy thing to bring up, but I was carrying 5,000 milliamps in it, and I was still gliding around with no problems. Great penetration through the wind with 5,000 milliamps in the nose.
Wow.
And that's with GoPros and all that stuff hanging off of it. And also, it's a slippery machine. They give you the ability to add optional flaps.
Wow.
Short Linko connections.
Short Linko.
Short linkages gives you a nice positive control feel, and the tail is about maybe 30-40% bigger. So although it's proportion nice, it does have great control authority, which was one thing that was lacking with the early multiplex Easy Star. You'd sit on the rudder for about 2 days and then it'd start turning, and that was great for beginners, but bad for people wanting to whip it around.
Yeah.
So like I said, hats off to Strix and Ready Made RC for the Strato Surfer. I love this thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be around for a while. I think
The build experience was great too. I mean, it went together really easy. All the screw holes mounted up.
Yep.
The tail's held on by one screw.
Yep.
Wow.
But it's mounted inside the plastic a little bit, so it's really solid. You know, the wings are held on by 4 screws.
Yeah.
Motor, if you want to replace your motor, 1 screw comes out and you replace it. I mean, it's a really good bird.
Simple build.
Alex laughed at me. He said, "Man, you like everything." Well, I mean, I'm not hard to please. If it flies, good.
Yeah.
If it could take a hit, I'm pretty much sold.
Right. Right. And I like how we talked about earlier with the frames. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's kind of similar to what they've done here with the Strix Stratosurfer. It's always been a good plane. It always will be a good plane.
Yeah.
So why not make it available in a little bit different modification to where it's even better to build, and it's been thought out a little bit more than it used to be, maybe, and re-release it.
And if you look when the Sky Surfer and the Easy Star, and for that matter, the Bixler 1 was created, FPV was such a niche thing. I mean, you had huge transmitters. You know, you had to modify, but there's something about when you get a brand new airplane. It's like, yes, now I'm going to chop off the nose. It's a very awkward feeling,
Right?
And you don't want to do that. You want to be able to go back and forth. And with this here, you can pop off the canopy, you can put your FPV gear on it, and with a matter of minutes, you're back to a stock flying machine. So the reason I'm just loving on this so much is it fits everybody's need.
Right.
You know, even an advanced pilot can still roll this thing upside down, can still do rolling circles, knife edges, but you can throttle it back and you can cruise. And these are going to be at Flight Fest East. I want to do something because at Flight Fest West, my biggest grief was there's so many people that were saying hi and said, "Hey, let's burn a battery." I want to fly with everybody. So I'm hoping for Flight Fest East, there's a time where I can take a couple hours. I just want to buddy box people with this.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I've
a
never done the
great
hobby,
option.
So we have 2 of them. If we can keep them in one piece, we can have a buddy box party and hopefully get some people in the hobby.
And I think that they're, Ready Made RC obviously has them. I think we have them on our store as well somewhere. I'm not sure if we have them or not. I think they're there.
we sell out a lot with them. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to also, knowing that people will probably be buying this for their first plane, we're going to go ahead and get everything that would be the best fit, to get you in there in a good way. And then we'll also get FPV, great beginner FPV that they can grow with.
Right.
You mentioned earlier with like the technology, forward compatibility and backwards compatibility. You need to have your ear to the ground to really know what's coming down the line.
Right.
To know that this camera, your suggestion here, will make it for another 6 months. You can pick a camera that's at the end of a life cycle, and you're stuck. It's really, really great until you want to upgrade. With what we want to do is we want to make sure whatever we're putting on our store is something that people can live with for a lot longer if they choose, because oftentimes they get tired of it. You know what they do? They give it away, or they get someone else in the hobby, and that becomes their plane. So it needs to live longer than a typical aircraft.
Yeah, that's very true. 100%.
I'm sorry, I talk a lot.
Dude, you know what?
I don't mean to be that guy.
That's what makes you, Josh.
No, thank you.
And we love that
Because I
about
never
you.
shut up.
No, I mean we love all the intricate details that you delve into and pour out your soul on every single situation.
Love you, brother. You're great.
It's fantastic. So we'll transition out of that into kind of like the final point of this podcast. Really, and I always like to do this because it's something that the podcast was actually started for, was these community showcase kind of things. And this one that we're going to be talking about today, it comes from Archer. I think it's Archicopters. I think if I mispronounce that, just shoot me a little link or an email or something, and I'll edit that out or whatnot. But anyways, so this guy is on our articles page. He did an awesome article about 5 drone hacks. And so the biggest reason why I wanted to showcase this is that anybody essentially can do any one of these little hacks, and it really just makes your life just that much easier, right? So just it allows you to be more organized, have a little bit more fun, be a little more intricate, and a little bit more personalized, which is really cool. So one of the big things that he was talking about in the beginning, he's got a video, so you can go check that out. is that he cut his propellers. So he had like these 5-inch propellers, and obviously, as we know, things are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You look at the Gremlins; they're super small. What is it? Was 2-inch props?
2.34 inches.
2.34, something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy small. So, needless to say, if you have all these 5-inch props and you can't use them because you want to go smaller and you want to fly indoors or whatever, he's got this little 3D printed Dremel tool insert. So you put this little thing on top, you put the propeller on there, and then you just spin it around, and it cuts all the props, like a tri-blade essentially, all at the same length.
Nice.
Which is really cool. It's a 3D printed part that you put on top of a Dremel tool. Super simple. Anybody can do it, which is really cool. Then after you cut your propellers, he takes this thing, he just takes a rubber band, slides it through all the propellers, wraps it around. Now you got like 10, 15, 20 propellers, same color or by size or by whatever. Pop them on, use a rubber band. Everybody's got rubber bands, right?
Yeah.
So put them all in order so that now when you go to the flying field, there's no issues. You have all your props, you have all the sizes you want, and they're all in order. They're not in mixed bags or one's missing a prop, yada, 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 right? So something super easy. And then obviously another thing with props, which I think actually we've done at the shop as well. We used to, I don't know if TJ, you showed me or whatnot, but, and you can kind of talk about this point, about protecting your ESCs with pieces of broken prop, right? I mean, essentially.
Yeah, that's what we did. Actually, my first ever build was the FT210, and that's what we did it with. Was just cut off, especially durable props nowadays. They're hard to break anyway. So you just take the propeller, put it on the ESC, and then a little bit of black tape. If you have 3D printer, there's a lot of options out there now with cages. What have you, where they're printing it out, putting it on the ESCs. But yeah, that is one thing with these new durable propellers. When you crash, they have a tendency to bend instead of break. And when they bend, they can bend down. Most ESCs are on the arms, and all it takes is one good prop strike, and you're going to knock a FET or something off your ESCs. And so just by protecting them, you're adding a little bit of weight, but also saving a lot of headache and possibly some money.
Right. Which is really nice because I know that right now I just looked at my quad and I was doing some modifications to it and tweaking it, and there are a couple slices in each of the heat shrink on every single one after I crashed. Luckily I haven't had anything insert into it and break it, but it's been a really good quad. My FT210 actually, that's what I'm talking about. So that's an easy thing that anybody can do. Fourthly, you can put your name. I didn't know this, but you can put your name on the FPV camera.
Yeah,
I'm guessing you've probably done that in the past.
Some races actually require it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the nationals I went to last year did. Anybody that had an FPV camera, you had to have your pilot name or your name in the bottom corner, and then that way, while the DVRs are going and you had spectators, they could see who it is. But mostly for being able to go back and check the camera feeds if there was an issue during the race. But with that said, if you're flying with 4 or 5 people and you have people watching, they can just go through the channels and see who they're watching. I mean, it's a really good idea, and also helps for DVR footage, things like that down the road as well.
100%. And then the last one, so this is the 5th one. So he says remove the SMA. So, and I didn't really understand what that meant because I'm fairly new to the hobby just in general because I only started when I started working here. But like you can take those antennas that are on your transmitter or on whatever, and you can pop off the plastic and essentially do some modification to put it on whatever.
Yeah. The way from what I understand he's done is the same thing I've done a while back. Is when I broke my antenna, I ended up ripping the SMA connector off of it. Right. Instead of throwing it away, I just strip it out, get the ground and the positive, and then do the same thing on the VTX and
hard solder it.
Yeah, exactly. Just hard solder the antenna to the VTX. It's not something I would recommend everybody do, especially because the SMA connector on the VTXs usually are kind of difficult to remove. Right. But it is an option if you have a broken VTX or a broken antenna. Yeah,
it's one of those things that it's a little more intricate.
Yeah.
So those first kind of 4 are like anybody can do. Let's do this. The 5th one is more like obviously if you have some more technical knowledge and you can solder and you're not worried too much about that, pop that on and you can reuse different things like we always do here at FT. Yep. Broken things we can turn into things that work for other things. So and that's why I wanted to showcase that because that is something that we here at FT live by. always. We love hacks. We love taking things that aren't working and putting them into things that do work and making a hodgepodge module of something or whatever it may be.
Airplane, tiny whoop.
Right? Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. So first of all, Archicopters, thanks so much for your article. Thanks so much for inspiring other people and allowing other people and sharing with other people your different options that you can do to make your life a little bit more simple. Yeah. So that being said, obviously we've had a lot of good questions, a lot of good topics. We actually didn't even reach all the topics today, which is totally fine with me because that means that we've obviously covered them, and also we're passionate about them.
Yeah.
And we want people to know all the intricacies of everything that we talk about, not just skip over them and do what we need to do. So first and foremost, thanks so much for listening and for watching, because obviously if you weren't there, we wouldn't be here. Right, so that's
a good way to say.
Kind of how it is. Secondly, thanks Josh and TJ for being on the podcast today. Really appreciate it. And we'll hit some more of these different things later, probably in some different podcasts. We'll throw them in some areas because there are some key things that I'd like to touch on at some point in time. But yes, thanks so much, guys, for being on here, and thanks so much for watching. Again, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing so. Yeah. Because we always love that. Like the video. Also, hit that notification button, because that'll let you know when all our other content comes out, because obviously we don't just do podcasts, do episodes, do vlogs, do full-scale content. So be on the lookout for all that kind of stuff. And thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Deuces.
Flight test.